Only you.
Welcome to Politics Done Right on the News to Know at noon. Folks, we have a great program for you today. So let's go ahead and introduce John. John, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing good, Roberto. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, look, I couldn't have it any other way. You are one of the most important folks out there making sure that folks get engaged in the election. And for that, I, first of all, I want to thank you. And then secondly, I want to say, what's up? Tell us a little bit about you.
Oh, just I work for an airline and fly around the world, and I have a lot of fun watching your program from Frankfurt and London and everywhere.
Hey.
And then just we can go to a local coffee shop and have a coffee. It's
Absolutely,
kind of fun.
We have fun, man. But let me tell you something, John. The people have a lot of work to do right now because our democracy is in trouble. Our democracy is in real trouble, and watching somebody, I mean, you work a lot. You are over there flying all over the world. And when you're in town, one would think you'll be just chilling and sleeping in bed and all that stuff. And you're out there hitting the pavement. That's the kind of dedication that I think all of us, first of all, are thankful for. But secondly, that we know we have, if we want to hold on to the democracy here in the United States, isn't that what we have to do?
It's more important now than ever. We always say every year, this is the most important election of your life. And I don't think it's any more so now than any time in the past.
And that is so amazing that we have turned that into a cliche. Unfortunately, the cliche is real now.
Yes, it is.
And that's it. But anyhow, tell us a little bit about what you are doing, John, around town right now, and how would you like to engage others?
Well, a little bit of the background. I'm the president of the Humble Area Democrats, which is on the northeast side of Houston. Mm-hmm. And part of that is, turning out the vote in our little corner of Harris County,
right? Which
we all know Harris County is blue right now.
Right.
We're the largest county in Texas, and we want to keep it blue.
Right. How's it going?
It's going really well.
Yeah.
We've our team of organizers have been out in the community since June, knocking on doors, recruiting volunteers. And recently, we switched over to a Get Out the Vote campaign, which we're going to talk about.
Right. Well, it is great to see that is actually happening. So tell me a little bit about what you are doing around Humble and what you'd like to see being done, not only replicated in your little section of Harris County, not only in the entire Harris County, but throughout the city and the country. And before I go there, I want to remind everybody, 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Yeah.
So part of what we're doing is, it was a vision by some of the folks in the Democratic Party here in Houston at local clubs to have a unified message across our county. And 5 of the local clubs got together and started this organization called Clubs in Action. And the point of Clubs in Action is to engage our voters, to turn them out in the midterm election. And there's several ways of doing that, but our way is to educate the voters, knock on the doors, tell them why we're here and how important it is for them to come out and vote.
And for those who are watching right now on the screen, you can actually see what that logo is. And it's actually quite amusing, but it tells a message, doesn't it?
Yeah, we're really proud of the logo. It's, the donkey representing our party. We got the Joe Biden sunglasses.
Yeah. Oh, is that what that is?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the aviator sunglasses. And then if you notice in the shadow of the sunglasses, it's the state of Texas.
Well, those online, I tell you, those of you online right now, check out that and give us a call. And by the way, we take calls from everybody. I don't care if you're in the left, right, blue, red, conservative. He can tell you. John will tell you. We speak to everybody because we want to talk about about values. Continue, my friend.
Yep. So, part of what we've done is engage the other clubs throughout Harris County. We got 34 Democratic clubs and organizations. 21 of them are now on board with the Clubs in Action program.
You've got 24 of the 34?
Yes. Yeah. Involved, out door knocking every weekend, some during the weeks. We have the unified message, like we talked about. We're sharing literature with the voters. So when we show up on the door, we can talk to the voter, and we provide them with information to vote the entire ballot from the top to the bottom for our Democrats.
Well, I forgot you actually have to tell people that no longer can you say I am a Democratic voter and I'll hit one thing, or I'm a Republican voter and I hit one thing. You have to actually select individually every single candidate. And in the case of Harris County, it's over 100 and something different things you got to vote on, right?
It is. Yeah, we used to be able to, tick one box on our ballot and vote for our Democrats, and it would vote for every one of them all the way to the bottom of the ballot. Now we have to start at the top and go through pages and pages and pages.
That is. We know that that's by design. We have to see who has more stamina to go. Although I'll tell you, I've done it before because I have always, there are certain people that I've hung with that have said, Egberto, I need to have your vote. We've gone back a long time, folks that I've played racquetball with and so forth, and done that, right? So, sometimes you selectively, and every now and then you may hit a green, or you may hit hey, folks, don't listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what John's saying. I'm just the neutral host here. You got to listen to John. Anyway, 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. We don't have any calls yet. And by the way, streamers, I know you're there because I can see your numbers, but I don't see you online. 713-526-5738. You came with a little cheat sheet here. What is it that we need to talk about?
Yeah, I got a little bit of the information about what we're doing. Okay. So folks on the internet, check us out at clubsinaction.com. If you're on Twitter, our Twitter handle is CIATX. So check us out there. There'll be updates. You'll see pictures of everybody being out engaged in the community, some fun activities that we have. But what we're doing is we wanted that unified message.
Right.
And when we share that unified message with the literature showing our candidates, that is something that the voters can take to the polls with them. Right. Because you have to remember, in Texas, you can't take your electronic device into the polls as your cheat sheet. You can take a piece of paper with you.
I didn't realize that. I know you had to keep your phone sort of. I guess if it's off, I guess if it's off, you can't read it, right?
Right. Yeah, but they, apparently they don't want taking pictures of the, but you can take printed material with you, and so we're providing that literature has every candidate throughout Harris County. Now, obviously, Harris County is a big area, and we got a lot of people, right? And there's a lot of different candidates depending on our geographic location, right? So part of what we did was specialize our literature for various quadrants in Harris County.
So you actually went ahead and prepared different. That became pretty expensive.
It was a lot of money, but we were very fortunate. We've been raising money all along. We've got a few $100,000 worth of donations from people all over Harris County and throughout Texas, and we've got the literature printed. We've got professional social media ads going up. We've hired community canvassers to help our volunteers. And so we started our campaign with the door knocking on September 6th.
Right.
And as of this morning, we've knocked on 91,242 doors.
You are in the northeast part of Harris. That's just the northeast part of Harris County? That's Harris County.
That's countywide.
Wow. But still, that's a darn good percentage of the total people that are going to actually come out and vote. And you still have a couple.
And we still have
6 weeks to go.
5 weekends to go. And so if you think about what, if we just talk about Beto,
right,
he lost by approximately 200,000 votes.
Right.
Well, we've knocked on 91,000 doors right now.
Right.
We're about halfway through. Right. The calendar.
Like I said, you guys are doing great work. 713-526-5738. Folks, we want to hear from you. Whatever subject, but give us a call. 713-526-5738. This is our second week on the air. We are happy to be back. And I know a lot of folks don't know that we're back yet. So please, also for you that are listening right now, please remind everybody that we are back. 713-526-5738. Where are our callers? Give us a call. John wants to answer whatever questions you have as well. 713-526-5738. We have two subjects for the day, but again, you know that this is your show and you can dictate where it goes as well. 713-526-5738. Need to make sure that those phones are working. I know a few times we've had, we're new here. A few times we've had some issues with the phone. So we don't know. I'm pretty sure Marlo is out there examining and looking and making sure that it's all working fine. Okay, John, continue to tell me what else happening.
Well, the nice thing is the community is really getting behind us. They've been very receptive at the doors. They're thankful to have the voting information. Several of our candidates have been out door knocking with our volunteers, and there's just a lot of excitement in the community.
Right.
And we really appreciate that because, we want our voters to turn out in November, and it's just it's rewarding work when you knock on somebody's door and they thank you for bringing them the information.
Yeah, well, you know what? I know that the folks are going to show up. I tell you what, it was kind of interesting because sitting down there at my door, one of your canvassers or came to the door, and I was like, "Wow, hey, thank you for being here," you know. And they came and they spent a little bit of too much time because we got into doing a lot of talking. But
that's okay.
That's what it's all about. 713-526-5738, folks. Give us a call. 713-526-5738. Before we get to the next subject, I want to know. By the way, folks, John and his group, they're going out there every single weekend, right?
Every weekend,
Saturdays and Sundays. And they are making sure to engage the community to make sure that the community votes. One of the biggest things that people always say is that the problem with Texas is that we have one of the worst, if not the worst, voter turnout in the entire nation. And the only way to do that is to let people know, let them use their self-empowerment to make the things that they want to happen, which means go out there and vote. Go out there and vote. And this is what they're doing, letting it be known that there are candidates that are there for you and ready to vote for you. John.
It's important. I mean, we all have our right to vote, and folks are making it difficult for
How
us.
are they making it difficult from what you've seen?
Well, we can't do the straight ticket voting, which we mentioned. They've now made it so you can't vote 24 hours a day, which that was part of Harris County during the pandemic.
Right.
They did an experiment with 24-hour voting, which was great for shift workers.
Right.
You get off work at 11 o'clock at night, you can run to the polls and cast your vote, and then go home and get some rest.
Right.
And then you got to go to work the next day.
Right.
And so it's good because it gets more people to the polls. They're making it harder for people to use their mail-in ballots.
Right.
And confusing,
right?
Because in Texas, you have to give a reason to use your mail-in ballot. Where in other states, that's how they vote.
That's how they vote. What is so interesting is that there's yet another factor, and this is, I wonder when you're out there canvassing if this is something you hear about beforehand. Folks, 713-526-5738. Last week you were calling up a storm. This week, where are you? 713-526-5738. We are very nice here, so we love to hear your call. 713-526-5738. Yeah, John, the thing that I wanted to talk about that I wish more people would talk about, because it's happening in the background, is they're going to have these poll watchers out there now. And what we found out is that the GOP has enlisted a whole lot of folks that are going to be going into certain and particular neighborhoods within not only Harris County, but other places in the attempt. People look at it as poll watching. We look at it as sort of an intimidation because, a lot of people think, they're going to have the right to query people or try to query people. I mean, I want to see one of them come and try to query me when I go to vote.
Right.
I would love to see one of them and try to approach me. And, I will have absolutely nothing to tell them. I'll walk right through them.
Right.
And I know you would do the same as well. But what are we educating folks on making sure that ignore poll watchers, just go do your job and leave?
Well, the counties actually, they've started training the election judges, and they're telling them that the poll watching, and I'm using air quotes here,
right,
is going to be up significantly this year,
right?
Because they want to use that intimidation.
Right.
More than likely, in our neighborhood,
right,
you and I won't experience it.
Right.
If we vote in our neighborhood.
Because of where the neighborhood is and it's majority. But what I would like to see, let me take Suzanne and then let's continue this conversation. Suzanne, come on in.
Hello?
You're on, Suzanne.
Hi.
Hi. What would you like to say, Suzanne?
I would like to say I appreciate all the efforts made by these kind of groups to get the word out for voting.
Well, thank you for calling in. I appreciate that. Are you a regular KPFT listener, Suzanne?
No.
Okay, well, thank you. Well, I am glad that you may be surfing or whatever gave you a reason to give us a call. Thank you so kindly for calling. Remember to keep us on your dial, and also remember to tell folks about KPFT, okay? And this is what we do. We have good things to put on. Thank you very much for calling, Suzanne.
Mm-hmm. Have a nice day.
Have a great day. 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. We are still waiting on your calls. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're talking about the voter intimidation.
Right.
And, our neighborhood is predominantly more red than some of the areas in Harris County. And we expect that that's where the poll watching will be taking place, is those areas that aren't like our neighborhood.
Right.
Where they're predominantly blue. And, these folks are going to come in there. And I feel that they're going to try to intimidate. And they're going to be able to, because they also changed the laws for the election judges, that they have to give the folks a warning, and then they have to do something overt, blatant, to be removed, which requires calling the police to remove them. They've taken the power away from some of the election judges, and in the polling location, the election judge should their team should be monitoring and being able to keep the place safe.
Right. Well, the thing about it is what I hope people understand. 713-526-5738. Folks, we are waiting on your calls. 713-526-5738. What I would hope, John, for the like I said, what we try, the folks that I've been engaged with, what I told them is to make believe that poll watchers are nothing but hot air, and to walk right through them. Answer nothing, say nothing, and just go do your voting.
Yeah, that's great advice.
Right. And you don't have to raise your voice. You don't have to confront. You don't have to use dirty words. You don't have to do anything. Walk. They cannot block your walk-in. They cannot do any of that. You walk right through them. And for anyone that's listening to us here, it is important, including to some of our county, the poll judges as well. We have to hope that they have a spine not to go ahead and just be intimidated, because some of those guys will be going to these polls with AR-15s. I'm pretty darn sure some of them will do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all, because for one, they're allowed to, and it's open carry is allowed here, and they're going to show up and beat on their chest and scare people.
And it is important for us. Let's go ahead and get, I don't have a name yet. Go ahead and get Ira. Come on in, Ira. Ira, you're on.
Hello, Alberto. Good morning. Thank you for the show.
Yes, sir.
Alberto, I'm a Caribbean migrant, and I want to ask, why is it that at a protest, protesters cannot carry their flags or their banners on a pole or anything like that, but persons can observe them, or persons can intimidate them with body armor, automatic rifles, watching them protest, while they couldn't hold a baton while they protest with a flag on it?
That is such a wonderful question, brother. Let me tell you something. The reason why is exactly what you heard John talk about. It's an intimidation factor. They gave statements like, we don't want any pointed objects like a flag or anything. I've been in several protests here in Houston, and we had to have the flags cut, and because we couldn't have these sticks, right?
That's right.
But somebody walks into that group with the AR-15, nobody can say anything.
That's all right.
Listen, these are crazy policies. These are immoral policies, okay? And the only way it changes is, as John said, and what John and all of his crew are doing, is for people to use their power and vote the folks who allow that discrepancy out. Follow, Ira?
Thank you, sir.
Anything else you'd like to add, Ira?
I'll keep doing the work you do, man. My contribution is a bit late, but I'll get it through.
Great. Well,
Thank you.
thank you so kindly, Ira. Don't forget, keep the dial on for our news to know at noon. Okay, Politics Done Right, news to know at noon every single day. Thank you, my friend.
All right. Thank you.
Bye bye. But yes, John. So it what he says makes a lot of sense.
It does, and it's what it is, but it doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
To me.
No.
Yeah.
What I mean is, how can we not have flags and pointed objects that are there to hold the flag?
Right.
But we can have an AR-15 or AK-47 or whatever.
It makes no logical sense.
I tell you something else that makes no logical sense. I went and I'm, in encouraging others to vote. And folks, please remember, you need to go out there and register to vote. You have until October 11th. Is that postmark or actually in the house? Do you know?
I'm not sure.
But
the registration
do it
has to be
before.
complete.
Do it before October 11. You must vote before. You must register to vote by October 11. Don't wait till October 11th, my friends. Go out there and register to vote. And for those of you who think you are registered to vote, please go to Harris. It's Harris Votes, right?
HarrisVotes.com.
Go to harrisvotes.com and make sure that you are in fact registered to vote. Just on Sunday, I checked it for both myself, my wife, and my daughter to make sure that all of us were still in the system registered to vote. And I'm sure you do that all the time.
Oh, absolutely. We have to check because, they purge is the word, the voter rolls every so often. And you want to make sure that you didn't get dropped off. Say you live in an apartment. If you move, you need to make sure that you're at your new address.
Right.
So that's part of what you can check. There's ways you can get hold of deputy voter registrars through the Harris Votes. You can do an application on not online,
download. You can download
it and mail it in. So all of that takes time.
Right.
So go out there today. Check your registration today to make sure it's up to date.
713-526-5738. John wants to hear from you. 713-526-5738. We're talking today about the vote. I have a couple of other subjects that I have on the line right now, but this is so important, John, that for those people who are channel surfing right now and just jump, because we haven't been on air, we haven't been on air live for the last 2.5 years. So a lot of folks, they don't know that they can call in again and all of it. So we have to try to build that up and remind folks that, hey, it's a call in show again. 713-526-5738. We're very nice here. We want to hear from everybody. I don't care what your political persuasion or what you want to talk about. You want to talk about the reservoir. You want to talk about things, and we can put all of that into perspective for you. 713-526-5738. Una vez más, 713-526-5738. The polling has been all over the place, and I don't think the polling is right in the sense that nobody knows what a likely voter looks like now, especially in these times, right? Because you're registering a whole lot of new people. You're approaching people that will never show up on a likely voter model poll because they've not voted before.
Right.
So they will never make a likely voter model poll. So it all depends on whether the people that you speak to actually comes out and vote. I think those polls are wrong, but I tell you what concerns me, John, and you tell me what can we do about it. We don't understand how things that happens within the Latino community. There's a lot of misinformation in Spanish going on in the Latino community that I hear, right? And unfortunately, I wonder how often it is we have people out there monitoring those AM stations and those FM stations that are playing those ads without any counter from the other side. I think it's something that needs to be looked at. Kirk, let's go ahead and speak to Kirk. Come on, Kirk. Kirk, you're on.
How y'all doing?
We're doing fine, sir.
Man, it baffles me that once you get grown and you register to vote,
yes,
and if you don't move, you should be registered all the time. Why do you have to keep registering to vote? when you're not already registered.
Well, before I answer that, I'm going to pass it on to John, because I disagree that I don't even think we should have to register to vote if we have a social security number, but I'll leave that up to John. John.
Oh, I agree with Alberto. We shouldn't have to go through this big process to be able to vote. I mean, that's what this country's about. You one person, one vote is what it's supposed to be.
Right.
And different states, and we're in one of those that make it difficult, they put these roadblocks in that are legal to make it hard. And that's one of the things is if you move to a new address and you show up at the polling location and your address is wrong, you can still vote. It's called provisional. But then there's a bunch of steps you have to go through to make sure that even counts. You
have to make another showing.
You have to go down to the EA's election administrator's
and show
office.
the deficient papers that you had missing.
And people, it's hard enough because we're all so busy.
Right.
It's hard enough to take the time just to go to the polling location and cast your ballot. And now they're throwing this roadblock up.
Kirk, you're saying?
Yeah, I'm saying that right. But I was looking at the news the other day, and they said it was 10,000 votes that wasn't even counted because of this.
Right. That provisional vote thing is really a screwy situation, because the way it works is you can fill out a provisional vote and nobody knows if it's going to be counted or not. Look, if you're not registered, the likelihood of it being counted is almost nil, but if it's that you're missing a license or something, you would have to make a showing at the county office again to go ahead and say, hey, look, here, my vote should be valid. It makes no sense. States that have this voter registration thing, Kirk, the real reason behind it is to restrict voting. There's no reason why somebody couldn't come with a social security and says, I'm an American citizen, and vote. There is absolutely no reason. And let's go even further. Once you give your social security number, Kirk, we know if you are a citizen, a legal resident, or whatever. Everything is known about you. Don't let anybody fool you in America. We know if you are a citizen or not. So the only reason to have voter registration is a step to stop you from voting. And you know what? They know that people who are poor, people who have to work a whole lot, that the likelihood of them voting is next to, it's difficult. And that's the issue. But thank you so kindly for calling us, Kirk. You have a wonderful day. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I appreciate y'all. Thanks.
You have a wonderful day. So don't forget, news to know at noon, sir. Politics done right, okay? Take care now.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Right.
Cindy, come on in and let's have a word, Cindy.
Don't forget, news to know at noon.
Okay. We're going to get Cindy on in 1 second. And that's a hell of a point that he brings up there. And there are certain things that we just accept as that's the way things are.
Right.
And what we are trying to do with Politics Done Right is to tell folks, no, you are already empowered. You don't have to look at the status quo as things have always been this way, so it has to stay this way. You can actually make a change, and you can be instrumental in making that change. Let's see if we can get Cindy online, if we can get that operational in a minute here. Let's see. Cindy's going to be on in a minute, I think. All right. Well, as soon as she gets that hit, we're going to do it. Every now and then when you have these, there we go. Cindy, you're on.
Hey, good morning, Alberto. I guess it's afternoon. Good morning.
It's
good afternoon.
Talk to me, Cindy. Talk to me.
Hey, I understand that you have John Cotter on the show today.
John Cotter, say hello to Cindy.
Hello, Cindy. How are you?
Hey, John, I'm good. I was just calling to give a shout out to Clubs in Action. I've been volunteering with them, and I think the effort that we're putting out is crucial.
Well, we appreciate you coming out and helping us. This is, I agree with you.
I think it's very important that we reach out and make personal contact with some of these voters that may not understand the importance of midterm elections.
That's absolutely right. And that's, kind of what Egberto and I are trying to talk about today, that, this election is so important, and we need everybody to turn out and vote. And, that's why we're doing this Clubs in Action, to turn those folks out and answer any questions they might have and make sure they can show up in November.
Okay, Egberto, are you going to help people find out how to volunteer for Clubs in Action?
Well, guess what, Cindy? I have John Cotter in the house, and I have you out of the house. So why don't you
out of the house?
Well, why? So why don't you inform your Harris County citizenry and beyond how they can get involved?
Well, I think John would be better at that because the only reason that I know how to volunteer is that these are my friends who have come together to do this incredible effort. So if I were just a random person on the street, I wouldn't know how to find Clubs in Action to do the volunteer work.
Well, that's a good point, Cindy. We have a couple different ways. We have our website. So if the folks will go to clubsinaction.com, they can check out our website there. And if they're on Twitter, they can find us at CIATX.
Awesome.
Well, Cindy, it seems to me like you're doing a whole lot of work out there as well, too. So, I've been very thankful to John for doing a real darn good civic duty. The same applies to you. I mean, I think folks who have dedicated their weekends to really get the community involved. That is what it's all about. I mean, that is really what it's about. And just watching it in action, I can tell you that having quite a few folks even knocked my door. It was like, what?
Yeah, absolutely. We did knock on your door.
Yes, I opened the door and I was like, wow, great. This is what community is all about. So thank you guys for what you do. And Rebecca Weiss-Schuzler is on air, and she says, how can I donate to Clubs in Action? From Rebecca Weiss-Schuzler.
Well, that's awesome. You can go to our website. We have a donate button on it. It's clubsinaction.com, and click that donate button. And anything you can share is great.
So, tell us a little bit more about what else is planned going forward.
Well, we're going to continue with the community engagement through the door knocking throughout until Election Day.
Okay.
And we have a social media campaign that's taking place that's going to have some ads, and some of the stuff we're doing with our logos that'll be our social media engagement. It's a did you know?
Oh,
and
did you know what?
Yeah, did you know early voting times? Did you know?
Do you have that on your sheet too? Or?
It's just part of it. It's just going to be put out on social media to different parts of our community.
Nice. Well, Cindy's gone. All right. Anyhow, folks, look, man, we want you to make sure and go out there and vote. It is important for us to participate in voting. There is no two ways about it. That is how you remain engaged. That is how we get things going. Vote, and vote. Well, John, what else can we say about voting before we go into the subject about why is it actually this hits a subject as well. Let me tell you better. I had two subjects to cover today. One was voting and one had to do with going ahead and how comes Ukraine can get money and those people that are in dire straits in America, somehow they can't get it. How comes?
Because of the folks pulling the levers.
No, but here's what got to me, right?
Yeah.
Inflation is high.
Very.
And now that inflation is high, the people that get hurt the most are people at the lower end of the spectrum.
That's true.
Right?
Yes.
All right. So check this out. Yesterday, Brother Biden went ahead and gave over $1 billion, an extra $1 billion to Ukraine. Yes, we want to protect democracy and we don't want Russia to invade these countries, right?
That's correct.
We don't want that to occur. Now, but Jackson, Mississippi needs less than $1 billion to fix their water so that 100 and something thousand people can have their water. Flint, Michigan, same thing. And we can go one thing after another. And it's always a problem to get that money. Isn't that a good reason why folks need to realize who they should be supporting in voting?
Exactly. Because the people that we elect at local levels for commissioner's court,
right,
at the state level through the legislature and the governor,
right,
and the lieutenant governor, and all the way up to the Congress,
right.
we need to put good people that care about the entire community and not a
Right.
select few.
Exactly. You know, and that's what goes on. You know, I was watching the news last night, and in watching the news, it turns out like we have to put out this support. And then right next to the other news, I saw people on some of those islands where the hurricanes occurred. And beforehand, folks, 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Give us a call. We still have lines open. Well, we have all our lines open right now. 713-526-5738. You know, I'm looking at the island, right? And it's amazing that this particular island, where it seems like a lot of fishermen and people who get the shrimp and all these things are, it was 3 days after the hurricane, nobody got to them.
Isn't that sad? I mean, we have airplanes that haul cargo. We could be there the next day.
But all those resort areas where a particular class of folk lives, they had no problem with folks getting there.
Right.
Folks, 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. So, yeah, John, I mean, what we can always, for every subject that I cover on Politics Done Right, for all the work that you do, there is always something that you can tell people, right, that absent your vote, this is what occurs. And we can actually see in a place like Florida, who supports a person like a DeSantis that manipulated the money coming from FEMA. Or even if we take, I don't know if you follow the story in Mississippi with Brett Favre, and Brett Favre getting monies that were delegated for poor people and otherwise. I find it ridiculous.
I find it criminal.
Actually, it is criminal, right?
And you know, folks get upset about people expressing their rights. You know, a particular football player, Colin Kaepernick, you know, they blow their heads up
Yes.
over that man just
Because
his
he
First
kneeled.
Amendment right.
Right.
But yet this other football player steals from all of us
Yes.
to benefit himself, and it's pretty quiet.
I mean, it's that amazing. And you know what else? I found that the way, and this is one of the reasons you want to have an independent news station, KPFT, 90.1 FM, and these others. And the reason why is that is exactly what you find. You find that even the media, Brett Favre was a darling for a very long time to a whole lot of people, right? Here it is. He rips off $1 million, right? And he doesn't seem to have lost a whole lot of people who were like, we need to go out there and get him. But that petty thief who steals a candy bar worth 50 cents or $1 or whatever it's worth, it's the end of the world. But Brett Favre rips off $1 million for speeches he never gave. And then they like to speak about the welfare queen. Who is the welfare king?
That's exactly it. It's socialism for the top, and
Socialism for the top.
Screw the rest of it.
And screw the rest. And it is amazing if we can get that message across. Folks, 713. I'd love to hear some of your voices on this. 713-526-5738. 713-526-5738. Give us a call. Yeah, John. So I mean, I honestly think I've been doing some block walking, not this cycle around, but the last cycle. I remember going into a Latino community. I think it was here in Fifth Ward or Sixth. I don't remember which ward it was, right? And I was going through, and we're block walking in Spanish, right? And it was almost every single one in that community that told me, why bother? My vote isn't going to matter, or nothing is going to change. All right, we have somebody on the line. I don't have a name, so come on in. You're hot right now.
Good afternoon, Egberto. How are you?
I'm fine. What's your name, sir?
This is Adrian.
Adrian, talk to me.
I just wanted to reiterate your point about socialism for the rich and to hell with the working poor. It speaks volumes that good, fine Christian Governor Greg Abbott doesn't see fit to raise the minimum wage from $7.25 an hour, and it hadn't been raised since 2009.
inflation has gone through the roof for housing, groceries, gasoline, and yet he does nothing to benefit the working people.
But you know what? I got to ask you something, though. Well, I forgot. I just got a brain freeze. What's your name again?
Adrian.
Adrian.
You know me from Pleasure Drive.
Yeah, hey, look, I gotta help myself here. Anyway, Adrian, let me tell you something, and this is what I tell all the folks. You just gave a narrative. Those guys don't want to increase the minimum wage. They also create a false narrative why they don't want to do it. They says, "Oh, the minimum wage is for the kids and all of that," right?
That's right.
That's what they like to say, right, John?
Somebody working at a fast food place.
But still, yet it should still be raised with inflation. If that guy who was in 1980 was making 725 or whatever that time was, and the other one, it should be raised. But we have to have the right narrative, Adrian. It is important, and not only that. You have to go out there, Adrian. And notice I'm putting the onus back on you as well. First of all, you got to support folks like us at KPFT 90.1 FM Houston to make sure we can go out there and tell the message. And in telling the message, we can have folks vote those who will hold them back out. But I guarantee you a lot of Texans are going to vote in a manner that hurts them financially. But what we have to do here is simply tell the truth. Don't you agree, Adrian?
Absolutely. And I've spent tons of hours answering phones on pledge drives back at Lovett Street.
Oh, great. Well, you know what? We are going into pledge again. So spread the word. We need to make sure, and we have a whole lot to raise to keep this thing going, man. But look, thank you so kindly for calling. Adrian, all right? Thank you so kindly for giving us a call. All right, I have another call. Cheers to you. 281. Bring that call in for me, Marlo. That one, yes. All right. I don't have your name. What's your name? You're hot. Joe, come on in.
I'm Joe.
Come on in, Joe. What's up?
Hey, Berto. How are you?
I'm fine, my friend. Talk to me.
Hey, so people are just stupid. And I don't know if it's stupid.
Let me hold on. Let me just say this. I had your sentiment, right? But I've learned that. Okay, willful ignorance. That's different. Yes.
Willful ignorance.
Yes, there you go.
Let me tell you. I mean, you can talk to them about socialism, and the right has done such a great job in making that such a bad word.
Yes.
And they'll be the first ones to go, yeah, I know the oil and gas companies, they're getting, kickbacks from the government as well, but they don't get it. They don't get it. They'll vote against their own best interest all the time. And I guess it's, the right, the media on the right, or Fox News or whatever. But I mean, sure. Okay. So they're not stupid, but I mean, all my family, it's the same thing. It's willful ignorance. You sit down, you tell them, this information, and
Joe,
they're like, yeah, I know, but they vote a different way.
Joe, let me just say, there's a lot of psychology in here, right? And that's what I've had to teach myself. The only reason I don't get upset, mad, and raise the blood pressure goes through the roof and all of that, and I keep an even keel, is if you have a kid who was brainwashed or who was given a story that worked with them, you don't want to call the kid stupid or anything like that. What you do want to do is you want to let them come to conclusions on their own, giving them not facts that we progressives like to lay out the fact that numerically correct. We have to make it mean something to them, right? And that is what I've tried to learn. Those are the kinds of things that I'm trying to write. I mean, isn't that what we are trying to do now, John?
It is. It's you have to meet the folks where they're at.
Right.
You gotta the story or the facts or the information you try to share, I think, has to resonate somehow. And that's why telling stories allows you to get in touch with where the voter is.
Where the voter is.
Or just, you're trying to share something with a friend.
Right. And here's the thing, Joe. I think that is where, in the case of progressives, I think that is where they've most failed, right? I can tell you, I go to a lot of progressive or conferences, etc., right? And many times the way we speak, right, it's really often, I don't want to say above the heads, but it's not a warm, fuzzy feeling, right? But when you start to get there, I always tell people, I want folks to like me. And the reason why I want them to like me is if they like me, they will listen to me. Right. But if you go across and somebody just doesn't like you, you are not going to get them to even entertain the message that you want to come out with. Here's a kicker. You know what happens often, right? The right has turned progressives into a caricature. And I always tell the story that occurred to me in a Starbucks when I had a long conversation with a very conservative woman who really hates progressives and who really hated Medicare for all. And by the end of our conversation, I never said the word Medicare for all, but she was for all the tenets of Medicare for all, for healthcare for all. And at the end of the conversation, she was also supporting progressive values. And then I felt guilty and told her, I just want to let you know, I'm really, really very progressive. And she looked me straight in the eye. She turned red like a cherry. And she said, but you are so nice. Joe,
I know, and we do that. And you sit down, and all my conservatives, all my sisters, everybody else, I sit down with them, we have the conversation, and they agree with me.
Right. And the next thing,
it's amazing how much they agree with.
But here's the magic, brother. Here's the magic, though. Here's the magic. The next magic is to say the following. Remember, when you go into that voting booth, you are within yourself. Your vote is between you, the machine, and God. No friend of yours know exactly what's going on. So anyway, Joe, look, thank you for calling. I hope you're a regular listener. Keep calling 713-526-5738. Be a part of the family. Okay, brother? All right, Grace, come on in.
Keep calling 713-526-5738. Be a part of the family.
Okay, Grace, could you turn your radio down, please? Turn it down some. All right.
Yes.
Oh, go ahead, Grace.
Yes, this is Grace. I'm calling to ask, is it possible and where can I pick up vote by mail form rather than having to wait for the mail to come in? Because I will not be available on the election day.
Okay, let me tell you, I don't have the specific answer for you on that one, and so let me suggest one thing for you. Right, go to Harris Votes. Do you have access to the internet? First of all.
Yes, I do. Okay,
great. Go to harrisvotes.com. harrisvotes.com. And the reason I'm sending you there is you should find out if you can pull down or find out what to do as far as how to get a ballot. I ask you to do that like after we're done talking and after our show is done. So come on, we want you to continue listening to the show. After the show is done, go ahead and call and go to harrisvotes.com. And the reason we want you to do that is because they can you can find out there in one of the menu items there whether or not you can do that. And now that you've asked the question off air, it is something that I am going to go research on my own so that I'll have a sensible answer to give you afterwards.
Okay, awesome. Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you so kindly, Grace. And you keep listening to this hour, okay?
All right, awesome. Thank you. You're doing a great job.
Thank you so kindly. Thank you so kindly, Grace. All right, let's go ahead and bring in Maureen. Come on in, Maureen. Whoops. Maureen, come on in.
Hi, how are you?
I am fine.
You're doing a good job. I like your show.
Thank you so kindly. Appreciate you.
The reason I'm calling is because I know that you have a guest on that's talking about voting.
Uh-huh.
And I always mail my vote in. And I got a notice back that said that my vote wasn't counted.
Oh.
And I don't know why. And I was wondering if there was some way that someone could check out my vote and see if there was what the problem was.
John?
Maureen, was it for your vote by mail application for this upcoming election, or was it for an election in the past?
This past election.
So you really need to confirm your information on the Harris Votes site, because it sounds like there was a problem with the registration. And the other thing that's important to remember.
I don't think so. My registration has been fine.
Okay. The other thing that we were talking about that made it difficult for the vote by mail is if the number, either your driver's license number or your social security number,
right,
when you register to vote, if that number doesn't match the number that you put on your vote by mail ballot, it will be rejected. And so what we're recommending is you put both on the vote by mail application, so it'll match.
I put my social security number and my license number, and under the flap of the envelope also.
What's the next option?
Contacting the election administrator office, which you can get the phone number through harrisvotes.com. That would be your best bet, Maureen.
Okay.
Because without more information, I really can't. I don't want to steer you in the wrong direction.
Sure.
Yeah, and you please do that, because there are a lot of shenanigans that they're going to try in this election, and the reason why is as these polls come closer and closer, what's going to happen is, by design, those in power want to stay in power, and they will try to find every technicality to get your vote to not count. harrisvotes.com. Thank you, Cindy. And by the way, online we have Rebecca. Thank you, Maureen, kindly for calling in. Okay. Great. You have a wonderful rest of your day. Cindy Hendrickson online, Rebecca Weiss-Shukla online, Tank Murdoch online. Thank you guys for being there. Anyhow, John, that is, it really irks you that we have to spend this amount of time just to have one person, a U.S. citizen, to have to go through all these hoops just to have access to the vote.
It's sad, but it's by design.
Yes,
because they want to throw up these obstacles. They're not preventing you from voting, but they're throwing up enough obstacles that you may give up.
And that's a problem. When you're busy, 713-526. We have some time to take a couple more calls. 713-5, and all lines are available right now. So you can give us a call at 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. But yeah, I can't fathom how we have the right to go to Iraq, Afghanistan, and all these places and talk to them about democracy. This isn't democracy if you have to be permitted to vote, which is what registration is.
It is.
You know, your inalienable right as a United States citizen should give you that right to vote. And it irks me. That is one of the things that's very upsetting, that you have to go through this to get your vote. We have another line. Come on in, Rena. Is that? No, Anna. Come on in, Anna. Oh, all right. Let's see. Anna, you're hot, Anna. Come on in.
Okay. Hi, I'm calling. I'm going to use a term that's not official, but we're newcomers from out of state.
Mm-hmm.
We come from a Democratic-led state, and we're pretty excited to come to Texas and see a lot of hot topics that are up for debate.
Yes.
I would consider myself maybe part of the swing vote, I guess you could say.
I love to hear from you. Yes, swing voter. Yeah. You're a swing voter, independent voter. Yes.
But also because it's just a new territory politically.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go in one different direction though. Back in Chicago, the Chicago Tribune every single year printed out a wonderful resource, and what they did is they had all of the candidates across the board, including judges, which for me is something that's really important.
Absolutely.
When I give my vote, and I feel like people just don't know enough about the judges they're putting into power. But what they did is they compared things that the judges and the politicians had voted on and what happened in the courtrooms, so as to give the public an opportunity to use their own opinions and their own judgment and then vote. vote that person in office. Is there anything like that here in Houston? Because I haven't seen anything other than just people's opinions, so to say, or digging really deep. Do you know of anything like that?
Sure, John.
Hi, Anna. Thanks for the call. In Texas, probably your best source of information on the local candidates, like the judges you're speaking of, would be the League of Women Voters. They're a nonpartisan, and they don't endorse. They just share the information in the platforms of the candidates, so you can have a more informed choice.
Oh, that's wonderful. Okay. The League of, what was it? The
League of Women Voters.
League of Women Voters. Okay.
Yeah. And they do a lot of work here in Texas. I think they do work all over the country, right?
They're all over the country.
Yeah.
And there's a Texas branch of the League of Women Voters. So you can just use your favorite search engine and find that.
Now, also, I know that the Houston Chronicle, they do some endorsements and they look at it, but sometimes I get a bit concerned about what you read in the Chronicle. So I think you really need to go to the neutral group, which is the Women League of Voters. And when you go to something neutral, usually things turn out particularly good.
That's right.
That's better. Yeah, it's always better to have nonpartisan because I feel like the climate right now says that I'm not an independent thinker, right?
Right.
I don't have enough knowledge to make my own choices. I need to be fed the choice.
Well, another thing, Anna, is make sure and stay hooked on this show here, because we discuss a lot of this. Yes, we have a point of view, right? But we don't only have a point of view. You have the opportunity to if you want to put your input into it, refute it, whatever you want to. It's the kind of dialogue that we like to have here.
Thank you so much.
Great. Look, anything else that you'd like to say?
I love Texas.
All right. Well,
welcome to Texas.
Guess what? I love Texas too. You have a great day, and we'll talk. All right.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Great. All right. Do we have another call? I think we can fit that one in. Let's go ahead and just go hot on this one. Let's see. It'll come in. Let's just go hot on this one. Okay. Para ver, who is it? All right. Anyway, I like the calls like that, John. Yeah. Let's go hot on that call. All right. George, come on in. George. We'll be quick on this one. We lost it. We lost you, George. Anyway, John, maybe we'll get that. You can actually pull it down on the, you can pull down that signal. Anyhow, folks, hey, John, I really appreciate you coming and spend some time here on Politics Done Right. I think the voting information is one of the most important things that we have to get across to the whole, not just the county, not just your area in the county, but the entire country. And I think once people understand that we have a call on, or is that George, come on in, George, real quick. We're going to get you real quick. Make your point real quick, George.
Hot topic.
Yes.
Hot topic. This year, will there be the Democrat symbol or the Republican symbol next to the name or the person you would like to vote for? And also, the League of Women Voters now has a link with harrisvotes.com.
Great. Thank you for that information, George. And you want to answer this question real quick, John?
George, it won't have a logo. It'll have a D or an R next to the candidate.
I heard there will not be a D or there will not be an R.
Okay, well, there should be, but we'll find out for sure. In the next show, we'll talk about that. But we're low on time. So, George, thank you so kindly for having been calling. And remember to keep us in your mind and keep coming, all right? Anyway, John, I appreciate you being here with us at KPFT. As usual, you always have a hell of a lot of information for us. And we are getting ready to close this thing down as soon as they give me an information as far as time is concerned. I got 10 seconds. Here, folks, let me tell you. This is Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willis. Come back here at noon. I am out. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.